Hi, today we're going to be talking about some of the things that actually turn off potential customers. In fact, we're going to be talking about 7 of them. Now, we all know that getting customers and keeping them is hard work, but it's absolutely necessary. Your product might be perfect and your price might be right, but if you do any of these 7 things, there's a high likelihood your customers will run away, and worse, they won't tell you why. So, how often are you driving customers away without even realizing it? Now, I thought about this recently when I had a bad experience in a local store. Salespeople were too busy to help, and there was only one register serving a long line of customers. They had the product I was looking for, I had the cash in my hand, but eventually I walked out without buying anything. And that's a pretty sad story from that shopkeeper's perspective. Now, to get some insight into the small changes that you can make to close more sales and improve your customer satisfaction, I literally asked dozens of people, customers and entrepreneurs alike, the things that caused them not to engage and buy, even though the price might be right and the product was what they wanted. Now, be warned, this might be a little confrontational for some people. Now, if you're one of them, I just want to say this, don't shoot me, I am only the piano player. I'm just telling you what people who might be your customers told me. So, here are the top, watching my fingers, 7 things that they said cause customers to walk away. And the first one is personal grooming. If you're selling surfboards, it's okay to dress like a surfer bum. But if you're talking about website development and you look scruffy and uber all over the place, your client is going to freak. Website development is precise and exacting work. You need to look the part. It's about taking you, whatever size or shape you are, and making you look fit for purpose. You are your brand. So there needs to be consistency between what you're saying and how you look and sound, okay? Otherwise, a psychological reaction happens in your customer's mind, and it's called cognitive dissonance, okay? Cognitive dissonance is the mental conflict that occurs when a belief or an assumption is contradicted by new information. In this case, for example, how you look, scruffy, as opposed to how the client thinks you should look, neat and tidy, like your mind, hopefully. So, amongst the ways that customers actually reduce that conflict is to simply reject the new information that they can see with their eyes. So because you don't look like their version of a website developer, they reject what you have to say. You know, you might think that's crazy because, you know, I just want to dress the way I want to, but guess what? It isn't all about you, it's actually about them. Now, number 2 is your language. Same thing. You need to be appropriate with what you say and how you say it. No swearing, no dumb jokes, no put downs of competitors, no lingo that you and your generation might use, but your client has literally no idea of what you're saying. Okay? Your prospective client or customer is making 50 judgments a second about you and whether they want to do business with you. How? Well, they look at you, they listen to you, and they feel your presence, right? As being either comfortable or uncomfortable. And it doesn't matter a fat damn what you have written about yourself or your proposal. People want to do business with people they like. Now, this doesn't mean to say that you need to become something or someone that you're not. What it does mean though is that you really do need to do these 4 things. And the first one is assess the situation. What's your prospect or client like? What will they be expecting? Are they formal or informal? Are they chatty or businesslike? Number 2 is use a concept called pacing. Now, these are classic sales communication techniques. Pacing means speaking at the same speed as the other person, and sometimes even repeating a few of the words that the client says, because that creates a subconscious bond. Okay? And number 3, establish rapport. Rapport is the development of trust, understanding, respect, and liking between 2 people. And you achieve this through listening, asking questions, responding to questions that you've been asked, rather than hogging the limelight and doing all the talking. Yep. Okay, that is not how you create rapport. And the 4th one is called reflection. Reflection is the art of repeating back to the client some of the things that they've said, either verbatim or phrased as a confirmation statement, like this. So what you're saying to me is, The client hears their own words and immediately their subconscious mind kicks in and say, wow, you know, this person is really smart. That's exactly what I think. Hello? But believe me, it really works. Okay, number 3 of 7, making customers wait. You can only serve so many people at once in most businesses, and customers get that. Still, they hate waiting, and there are 3 factors that are scientifically proven to make waiting even worse. The first one is when the wait takes longer than the customers expect. Like, for example, you promise something by Tuesday, and now you go back and say it's going to be there by Friday. That doesn't do much good for your relationship with them. The second one is when they're forced to wait around because they can't move ahead because they're waiting for that, let's say, proposal to arrive, and they've got no idea how long it's going to take. That gets incredibly frustrating. And then the third one is when they perceive that others who've showed up after them are being served first. This is a really big problem for freelancers trying to juggle work. They upset existing customers because they're trying to do the work of a new client and bring them on board, or vice versa. So you just can't win. You've got to manage your time and not take on more than you are capable of doing. Otherwise, you really run the risk of turning off either existing customers or new customers. Look, there's a ton of research on this. The bottom line is that customers almost always prefer a one line for all registers approach. You know, the sort of thing that banks and airport check-in lines employ. So whether you're selling retail products or providing services, people just want to be treated quickly and fairly. Now, if you know it's going to take a little bit longer, then communicate with your customers about that so that they're not sitting in the dark and getting increasingly upset. Now, here's how one tech firm that I read about addressed this particular issue. The founders of a company called Qualtrics, an online data collection and analysis firm, they have a rule in their office that everyone, regardless of their job, is expected to answer customer calls by the 3rd ring. And if somebody doesn't, a gong goes off in the office and red sirens start blaring. Result, guess what? Took a couple of days, now nobody waits more than 3 seconds because nobody wants to be the guy or the woman who set off the gong and the red sirens, okay? Number 4 of 7, delivering only what you promise. Yep, you heard that correctly. Sure, you need to keep your promises, but that's just the bare minimum. If you truly want customers to keep coming back, okay, you need to wow them every time by offering them even more than they think is fair value. Here's an example. You can give your client a proposal that exactly matches what they wanted, and that's it. Or you can give your client that same proposal with additional ideas and insights and offers that show that you're thinking about things from their point of view. The fact that you're prepared to wander outside the train tracks of the brief on the customer's behalf to explore new options and understand new information will create a lot more value in the customer's mind, and they will be much more likely to use you than the people who just give them the bare minimum. Okay, moving on. Number 5, being hard to contact. Time is money, we all know that. Answering customer questions over and over again can be frustrating. Why can't they just check the FAQ on your website? Well, because they don't. Why don't they read just directions or spend just a few minutes thinking things through before peppering me with questions? The answer is because they don't. So, time is money for your customers as well, and the last thing they want is to be herded into some kind of impersonal support option that shows that you think your time is worth more than theirs, okay? Just one of the things about having lovely customers. Okay, number 6, selling to them constantly. There's a couple of schools of thought on this, but you hate spam, you hate telemarketing calls, and you probably hate junk mail. Now, why would your customers be any different? They're being sold to from the second they wake up in the morning, and they're sick of it. There's a writer called Mike Myatt who said, clients are people, they're not fish. Don't lure them or hook them, engage them, listen to them and serve them. This is much more than a semantic argument. It's a philosophical shift in thinking and a practical shift in acting. You are treating your customers with dignity and respect. Now, it's hard to quantify exactly how much overly aggressive sales pitches will cost you, but a Consumer Report survey found that 64% of people admitted to having walked out of a retail store because the salesman was too pushy, okay? You can apply pretty much the same thing to online businesses and to service businesses. If you're too pushy, people will just walk away. Now, obviously you have to try to sell, but don't inundate your customers to the point that your pitch itself actually ends up turning them off. And the last thing is being secretive. Now, you might think it's reasonable that you want to keep some information about your business confidential, and you might even be right. On the other hand, customers also know there's quite a fine line between keeping things secret and ripping them off, okay? Now, openness and transparency is important, and so is keeping your commercial information close to your chest. This one's a little bit of a mixed bag. I've had situations where a prospective client inadvertently admitted that they'd sent my proposal to a competitor for their review and response. Now, we had a short and, dare I say, very meaningful conversation wherein I ignored all the advice I gave you at the start of this video, and I told them exactly what they could do. But where you can, be open about your methodology and your inputs. You're not only entitled to make a fair profit, but if you don't, you won't have a business. Don't lie and don't refuse to engage. It's just okay to say that some things are commercially sensitive. And sometimes there's a chance to make a really big profit. Maybe it's due to a critical time pressure on the client, for example. Take that opportunity with thanks to the universe, because, you know, everybody deserves a break sometime. Now, we cover this and many more topics like it in our fabulous free training. You'll see a link down below. Click on that and you'll get a whole lot more really, really useful information about this and many other topics. And we'll see you later.